The Fat Controller preferred steam engines on his railway, but he found diesels useful because they could pull either coaches or trucks. "You're versatile," he would say to them. "Real mixed traffic engines." Boko were proud of this, but James was not impressed. He liked these diesels, but he treated all others with deep suspicion. "Diesels don't use coal and water," he would say darkly. "How can you trust an engine who isn't normal in his habits?" Visiting diesels sometimes boasted about how special they were. Usually Boko had to spend the next day smoothing ruffled feelings. One day, a particularly haughty diesel came from the other railway. When the visitor found that he was to share the shed with steam engines, he stopped outside in disgust and refused to go any further. "Why on earth does your controller keep such out-of-date objects?" he growled rudely. "Dirty, smoky, slow things. Ugh!" He shuddered delicately. "On our railway," the diesel continued loftily, "steam engines are kept strictly in their place and not allowed on the main line without special permission." Boko, who was showing the diesel round, lost patience. "Stay outside then if you're so proud about it," he said crossly. "I'm going to join my friends." "I hope it's cold tonight and he can't start in the morning," snorted James. "At least someone might want to preserve us. Who'd need him? Old stuck-up." The engines were glad when morning came. They went to fetch their trains as early as they could, and the visitor was left alone. "That's better," he purred to himself. "How can an engine rest in all that hissing and clanking?" The cleaning equipment and fuel supply were in the part of the shed which Boko had shared. Old Stuck-up was so full of self-importance that he'd forgotten he would need cleaning and refueling before he went home. It was getting late when he remembered. "If I go in now while the shed is empty," he said to himself, "no one will know I've been." He scuttled forward quickly, too quickly. The rails where Boko had stood were oily, and when he tried to stop, he couldn't. "Brake blocks and buffers, I'm slipping!" he wailed as his wheels locked and slithered. He shut his eyes as, with a despairing whoop of horror, he crashed into the wall at the end of the shed. The diesel was not badly damaged, but a dreadful draught came through the hole in the wall. When the other engines came home, they heard the story from Douglas, who had cleared up the mess. "Ho, ho, ho," chortled Henry. "Old Stuck-up came unstuck, did he? I say, Boko, what is it the Fat Controller calls you?" "Versatile," chuckled Boko. "But that isn't what he called Stuck-up. I couldn't hear all he said, but I didn't think it sounded very polite."